I'm going to slap this into the beginning of every single video for a little while. So it has come to my attention that a lot of people are watching my content here on the anime channel, and I do appreciate that very much. However, it seems that not a lot of you have subscribed. It is completely free to subscribe, and it does help me out a lot. So it would be very appreciated if any of you that are watching any of my content, including what I see is surprisingly the highest watched content on my channel, don't be ashamed. Just hit the subscribe button and help a brother out. You know, I'm struggling as it is over on the gaming channel, and I wanted to try and bring this new project to people, and it would be much appreciated if you just hit that subscribe button, the like button whenever possible, and yeah, because the percentage of you that aren't subscribed that watch the content do help out based on views, but not as much based on, what could help more adding to the subscriber count. I'm sure if people actually did hit that button, we could hit 1K in no time. So, yeah. I do thank you if you could hit that button. And with that said, let's move on into whatever review we're going into. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's showtime, and it's the Blazer King with King's Critiques. And this is going to be recorded in multiple parts. This is how I'm going to be doing specific series reviews from now on. Like, I'm going to do my review of whatever I've watched and then save that to edit into another part of me reviewing parts I watched and so on and so forth, because it's the easier way to do things, but I'll explain that more later on. But this is going to be reviewing the first 3 episodes of ReZero, the director's cut, and a majority of this was already written down, so let's get to it, shall we? With another season coming up, I figure I watch ReZero next. I already saw the first season, but nothing wrong with a recap, right? As usual, right, this as I watch and give the gist of happenings and my opinions on things, so let's dip into Isekai hell, shall we? Starting with the thought of, what is this weird feeling our protagonist Subaru must think as he leaves the convenience store at the beginning of the series until our neat hero to be neat hero to be, that's how the sentence was supposed to go, suddenly ends up in another realm. And of course, with him being a neat, he assumes things would be awesome from the start. He imagined he could save someone about to be ran over by a cart with magic, which didn't go so well. As the next bit of the first episode goes, he tries to learn about this new realm he's part of, and that goes over quite well too. Not. Eventually, he runs into a group of jackwads who start beating the crap out of him, only get passed over by not one, but kidding, the second woman who came along to chase down the first, helped him out with the magic he sought to use earlier, and sent the dudes packing after she showed them her cat. Her cat. But it's more of a familiar than a normal cat, clearly. After Subaru passed out, moments after being saved, he awoke in one of the world's most comfortable places, with his head in his savior, Amelia's lap. Just kidding. He was in Puck's lap, the cat, who can change their size. Awkward, right? But seriously, Amelia will be the next key component of the series from here on out, but why spoil the fun this early? Though, of course, we don't know her by Amelia yet, just Satella. Why give that name? Reasons to be revealed later. Though one side Quent? Did I really type Quent? The hell did I even mean to write there? Whatever. Well, whatever I meant to say, I wrote side Quent. Maybe I meant side quest. While Subaru tried helping Satella find her insignia, helped them in the long run. As a fruit salesman, Subaru ran into earlier is the father of the little girl they found, so he owed them a favor. To which one question later, they end up in the rougher sort of neighborhood. After talking to some lesser spirits, they got pointed in the direction of where our little thief went off to. And this is where it truly begins. Upon entering Rom's shop, our dear Subaru ends up upon a scene he shouldn't have. The bodies of the thief Felt and shopkeep Rom only be brutally attacked. Not just him either. Satella foolishly walked inside and got attacked as well, only for both of them to die, and Subaru get reset to a point from after he arrived. So he did what anyone rational would try and retraced his steps. Took out the bullies and went to the old man's shop before triggering Felt or Satella, only to find him perfectly fine. But eventually Felt does arrive, and so Subaru confronts her about Satella's emblem, and then things get significantly worse. Remember when I said Subaru got into a rough situation? Here comes one of the best antagonists of the show, Elsa, who, after things turn awkward, kills Rom once again, as well as Felt in one swift strike before Subaru made a pathetic attempt to defend himself, only to be slain once more. Oops. Back at the apple salesman he goes. Now, in a state of confusion about dying twice and shown kindness by the guy after being knocked out unconscious, meeting Satella once more in this new life and explaining the situation going on, confusing her and angering her by calling her the wrong name. Weird, right? That name belonged to the Witch of Envy, as would be explained, but that's something that'll probably be important later. Point is, this time he got stabbed by the goons on accident and started to realize what's going on in a sense. Running across the bullies again while retracing his steps, he ran into someone new to protect him this time. One of the most famous knights in the capital, Reinhard. But of course, with the good comes the bad, since on the way to meet up with Felt prior to the slasher scene, he runs into Elsa, and while staring is fun, the memories that come back are horrid. But after that little run-in with Elsa, he meets up with Felt and rushes her to get to Rom and make their transactions before Booby McStabstab finds them. But Felt keeps not believing him. Luckily, the next time the door knocks, it's the woman who met him in his first life, who apparently isn't named Satella. Shocker. Only for Elsa to pop in. This time, however, Subaru used his knowledge of past lives to his advantage, having Puck defend Satella. After a pretty good battle between Puck and Elsa, we see Booby McStabstab run off before getting in too much trouble aside a severe wound and some shit talk. Oh wait, there's more. She's still up and ready for more. So, up to the woman who just introduced to be a half-elf in a 1v1 fight, but Felt and Rom make the mistake of interfering in the fight, to which Rom seems dead, and Felt got away after Subaru's distraction only to... Wait. Remember the knight earlier? Yeah, this time around he shows up to save Subaru and company. After some time for Rom to be healed, Reinhardt uses his true strength to take care of Elsa for the time being. Simply enough put. At least she had that typical horror movie scare moment to try and end our half-elf, only for Subaru to defend her with his own body, and Rom's giant mallet. After showing off and making a fool of himself, we finally learn Amelia's true name, so luckily I can stop using the same excuse she did at first. Though, seems even defending himself with the mallet only helped a little bit, but Amelia could heal him this time at least. Felt being taken to jail or whatever aside, Reinhardt's chill. The next episode opens with Subaru waking up in a strange bed, asking himself cliche anime-style questions as he traveled the halls of a fancy-looking home. Only run into one of the first residents of the mansion, Beatrice, or Betty as she calls herself, who causes him intense pain, but at least doesn't kill him. Waking up after passing out once more, he runs into two more residents, the cute maids, Rem, who we'll see a lot, and Ram, her sister. After being screwed with by the maids, Amelia came back to check on him and kinda, sorta, but not really thank him for helping out before. Another side note, don't call yourself a fur master like Subaru did. Sounds creepy. Speaking of creepy, next up is the master of the house, Roswell. And this dude's like Pegasus and Hisoka combined. And if you don't know those references, where you been? Watch Yu-Gi-Oh!, watch Hunter x Hunter, and come back to me. During lunch, it's found out there's some royal scandal going on, including Amelia being up for the king of the land, as it seemed to be, and that insignia from before has a huge part in it. So is Subaru asking in exchange for helping out such a vital situation? A job. How earnest. I would have asked to marry Amelia or bang the maids, but that's just me. Then the next day, he cuts himself peeling potatoes, or was it apples? Time to reset. Just kidding. Over time, he learned his past. We found out Ram is a daddy's girl, in a sense, and Subaru and Amelia had a moment together. Despite dying 5 times at least by now, he still has a good heart. But wait, after that day, it seems he had reverted to the previous day. But that can only happen when he dies, right? So he went to hide and whine in Betty's library, and she seems to remember him. Perhaps her space avoids space and time while she's in it? Anyway, after a gay moment with Roswell, in this life, they have a conversation in the bathing area relating to the maids and if Subaru can get along with them or not. After some burning and miscommunication, Ram sets out to be a teacher of sorts. Fantasies aside, the next day goes over as expected for the most part, including him being ambushed by some rotten kids. After Ram being cute, we come to later that night when Amelia is his teacher of sorts. Again, fantasies aside. Subaru did ask Amelia out again, albeit a bit awkwardly. After the credits, we seem to find out how Subaru died last time around. Seemingly he was poisoned, but then the next episode starts out with him freaking out when waking up in his 8th life. Shit sucks, right? But you know what? There's too much to go over. So, as I explained in the beginning of this, I'm not going to bother to go over as far as typing out as I'm watching, because that just takes forever. You know, I'll watch, I'll enjoy, and then I'll review what I've seen, instead of it being like completely spoiler ridden, even. So, I'll get back to this review with whatever I watch next in this series. Though I'm gonna drop the quick, if you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, because that's always appreciated. But I'm not gonna do the full outro because we'll be back in a flash. So, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wait, why am I doing an intro? I'm doing an intro because this is the second half, well, not half, but the second part of the ReZero review going for episode 4, because I think I'll just do this as a bi-episode thing instead of every chunk of stuff I watch, because it seems like it'll be a hell of a lot easier anyway. In the episode after Subaru woke up, of course he had to start, finding out what was going on, what was killing him, and, he got his answers. One time was one thing, the other time he was bludgeoned to death, and that happened at least once more in this episode. But, he did try to tell somebody about Return by Death, but he wasn't able to without suffering some kind of serious pain deep within his chest. Now, that could be whatever curse has been inflicted upon him, there we go, that's proper English, since he came to this realm, or, who knows, could just be whatever outside force is now watching him, the witch, perhaps, as they referred to a couple times within this episode. But in the end, he decides to ask Betty for help, because she kind of knows about what's going on with him. And while in a sense that does help, it actually unlocks a whole new realm of issues. Because somebody suffers the same kind of fate that he was supposed to suffer the first time he died in the mansion. The only question is, who would have killed them if it was supposed to be originally targeted for him? Speaking of pain deep within the chest, hopefully I can survive long enough to do more reviews for you guys, because I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I have a pain like right here, and But suppose if this episode never gets uploaded, you guys will know. Anyway, after starting a huge issue within the mansion because of said person dying, he escapes and thinks about what he could have done to make things different. And eventually he realizes, wait, shit. do I do this again? Do I use reset by death again in order to save this person? And well, he took the plunge, quite literally. So we're gonna roll into the next episode to see how things will go for him, to see if it helps out to have killed himself, to reset and get back to the point he was. Will he tell people that, hey, by the way, shit's gonna go down one way or the other? Suppose we'll find out. There's only another few minutes to add on to the other review, but hey, 3 minutes for an hour's worth of footage and vaguely spoiler free. I suppose that's not too bad. But yeah, suppose that'll make that a quick little tidbit, and hopefully we can get some answers for you guys again. So I'll be back in the next part in a little bit. And continuing off the last part I recorded, here's groaning into episode, what was that, 5? Yeah, episode 5 for the director's cut. Maybe I really should just start recording these all in one chunk for what I'm watching throughout the day. Maybe I'll remember to do that after this part. Anyway, episode 5 takes us through another week in the life of Subaru in the mansion. And that all reverts to him trying to figure out who killed him the first time in the mansion and laid that curse upon him that killed him in his sleep. So he spent the entire time throughout the episode making good with the maids and Amelia and Roswell. And, of course, he decided, maybe I'll talk to Betty about this. So he went to do so, and she told him some things about curses, and that told him, wait, I just need to find the source of the curse out. So, in other words, he went to the mansion, he left the mansion, went to the village again, and had everyone in the village touch him. Everyone. And I think I'm actually going to just drop the whole spoiler thing, because if I'm doing this like by review, there has to be a little bit of spoilers, and well, the title of this episode really should be Puppy Power. Or at least the second half of the episode of the director's cut, because the first hand was him having Amelia tell Rem to trust him, because he became a sobbing, whiny mess in her lap, and she found it endearing. But as for the second part, like I said, he went to the village to find out who cursed him, had everyone in the village touch him so Betty could find out who did it and where the curse was placed upon him and heal it before it took effect. And, well, everything went over the same as last time, you know. Some high fives, some pats on the butt and the shoulder, etc. And the bite from the dog. Now, when you're thinking shamanic activity, you'd think, well, it's totally gotta be a human, right? No, that's where the dog comes in. So, after finding out what cursed him exactly, he decided to go back to the village. And, well, when he went back with Rem to try and help the kids out who were playing with the dog, the kids were just gone, vanished, napped even by the dog and, well, certain magical creatures. And while rescuing the kids, he found out a little secret that Rem had, on top of being a total badass, that she was actually a sadistic demon. You know, something he probably wasn't completely expecting to be a thing, but now he knows for a fact to be a thing. That's kind of cool, I guess. You know, she can be a badass and protect him next time he needs it, right? So, hearing Rem, and Amelia's trust, as well as save the villagers. So, bunch of good deeds in one episode just for the cost of another life, right? And it ended off the episode with us thinking he was dead, but well, is he really going to have to go through all that bullshit again, or is he actually going to have been saved by Rem and company? Guess we'll find out in the next episode. I'll try to watch an episode or two before doing more of the review, because honestly, it's just coming up into like 3 or 4 minutes is just a bit confusing. Just like my hairstyle. Anyway, be back with more. So I don't lose too much in my mind, I'm gonna, review the next couple episodes, which I guess is episode 6 and like 6.5 of ReZero. It wasn't listed at episode 7, the one I'm currently on and going to be watching is episode 7. I don't really know why they didn't list it as 7, but hey, whatever. I guess it's technically an extra episode because it's fan service in a sense. Well, at least the scene is. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. Episode 6, he didn't die at the end of the last episode, so that's good. However, he was cursed again, and he learned that from Betty being like, yo, you're still gonna die in half a day. And the only way to cure that from how many bite wounds he took this time was for the ones who bit him and caused the curse to die. That doesn't sound too easy, but one individual decided to help out and think that she could save him. And it was our favorite blue-haired maid. Rem decided to go back into the forest and kill out all those doggos by herself. Which, if there wasn't like a massive swarm of them, would have been a hell of a lot easier. So, of course, to save her, Subaru and Ram had to go back into the forest and look for Rem in her demonic, sadistic killing ways. Sounds simple enough, right? But of course they got ambushed as well, and Subaru again had a couple of really dumb ideas on how to bait the dogs away, or toward him in a couple of instances. Because he can use the power of the witch's scent anytime he tries to tell somebody about his whole death thing that he restarts from a certain point every time he dies, like a video game character. Then, apparently the mobbies, as the doggos are called, apparently a certain breed of creature, not really just the dogs, go after him. And it's a good plan here and there, but at one point he encounters the leader and tries to 1v1 it with his new found magical powers, and that still doesn't go too well because they're only really used as a debuff. So he blinded a majority of them, but that only helped him weaken the creature. I'm gonna check your collar in a minute. My dog's panting for some reason. Where was I? But after being in a little bit of trouble, almost being mauled again, luckily Roswell managed to drop in and help out, and somewhere along the line we get to see Ram and Rem's backstory of them being demons and how Rem has her horn, Ram doesn't. And there's a whole emotional speech the next day at the mansion between Subaru and Rem, and now Rem feels the same way about Subaru that Subaru does about Emilia. So, but the one thing I will say from this episode is the maids definitely get their whole character arc in just like an episode and a half. Technically 2.5 episodes, because there's 2 episodes in one for the director's cut, but details. But now Rem is basically in love with Subaru, and that'll be found out all the way through the next while. But as for extra episode, which is basically fan service, it starts out with the whole place growing to be freezing cold over a small period of time, and them finding out that it's really Puck who's doing all of it, and instead of just like setting him off somewhere for a little while to release it or something smarter, or just dealing with it. He's like, let's just treat it like a fun day in the snow. Because, it was raining outside and cold and rain, snow, and Subaru logic. But it was our extra episode. They had fun in the snow, built sculptures, had snowball fights, and all that kind of fun stuff. And it ended off with a nice little party at the house. A bunch of them drinking, and some of them not because they didn't want to, or, well, a couple of them didn't, but anyway. That ended off with a couple of really fun parts, including some awkward moments between Roswell and the staff, and Amelia and Rem being drunk and getting on either side of Subaru, and then cuddling up with each other, and more anime characters I wouldn't mind being like, especially if I got the chance to actually feel death once in a while, to at least get this feeling off my chest of wanting to die regularly. I know that's a bit of a pessimistic statement in the middle of this episode, but hey, of a bunch of main characters out of anime I see, Subaru's definitely one of those I wouldn't mind being like, because got two really hot girls to have options of. So even if you like die a bunch of times and keep coming back, at least you're gonna have a good time every time, right? Right. But when Puck let his snowfall go throughout the entire village, or the capital, we saw characters that we've already met, characters we'll meet in the future, enemies included. So that's just gonna end up to be another very fun time, I imagine. So I'll see you guys in the next parts to come. And into this part of the ReZero review. In the last episode, well, this episode, anyway. I don't remember exactly what happened in the last episode, but it doesn't matter. We start to get into the nitty-gritty of the whole royal selection process. And while Amelia wants Subaru to stay to himself so he doesn't make himself look like a fool, of course he can't listen. So he finds a way to get to the capital, go with them to the capital, and barge in on her business while he's doing his own thing, including meeting someone he probably shouldn't have, and, nonsense and bullshit occur, and throughout the episode, Amelia trusts him less and less and less and less. Between him getting the shit kicked out of him by one of the knights because he needed to make himself seem like a big shot, and that thief from before, you remember her? Well, spoiler, she's one of the selection candidates for the crown. Weird, right? Honestly, I always was just kind of on Team Felt, fuck the system and all that stuff. And Crush and Priscilla have their own fun stuff about them, but yeah, the entirety of the episode is pretty much Subaru making himself look like an asshat, and he does a pretty good job of it, to be fair. Between basically being enough of an asshole to get challenged by one of the knights, and then getting the shit kicked out of him, as I said, and that ending up in Amelia being like, look, dude, I don't know what's going on with you in your little head there, but I want to distance myself from that, so deuces. And yeah, I don't remember exactly where the next couple episodes are going to go. Obviously, I remember how the season ended, but I don't recall this whole arc before all that nonsense begins. Again, it's been quite a while since I saw it, so obviously, if you have a Twitter account, everything is okay between them, but it's a long process to get back there, and we shall see how that goes in the next episode or two. But just want to give a quick little rundown on my thoughts of what just happened, of even if I know what's going to happen, man, Subaru fucked up. I know he can't tell her the truth or anything, but he done fucked up. Anyway, next episode. Wow. And here we are with another episode, and after everything that happened, Subaru and Rem decide to travel on together after his mental break with his fight with Amelia. He got to have a nice dinner with a cute girl, a nice drink with a cute girl over some discussion, which basically resulted in nothing. And he learned that Amelia and company were in danger, so what does he do? The idiotic thing of going to try and save them. To which this time around, the writer was kind of like, you know what? Fuck everybody. Again. And when Subaru got back, everyone in the village, dead. Everyone at Roswell Mansion, or Mansion Rathers, or whatever the fuck they call it, everyone dead. Every single person is dead. And, man, it fucked him up. It definitely fucked him up. Eventually he did end up dying, but then he had to go through it all again. This time it was worse, because he got captured and fucked with and had to watch Rem die. In a very horrid manner at that. But this time he got killed himself. In a more brutal way than before. So, at the end of the episode, he revives again, and gears probably start turning in his mind, be like, shit, I have to find a way to save everybody. So, that's what the next episode's going to go into. And my thoughts are, whoever the hell killed him at the end of the last episode, pretty fucked up if you ask me. Anyway, that's going to be it, and let's move into the next one soon. And in this episode of Subaru's Stupidity, they take another trip to Roswell Mansion. This time they run into a merchant boy who helped them in the last episode. And instead of simply, asking for his help and his alone, they decide to drag other people into it. That doesn't seem like such a stupid plan, right? Well, along the way of their journey, they start to encounter a little bit of a problem. That problem has to do with a big fog and also a big fucking whale. We're past the 30-second mark, I can say that. And see, a thing about this whale that we seem to learn over time from it absorbing people into its being is everyone it absorbs gets forgotten about. Every single person that absorbs is forgotten about. And, the people in the cavalcade are like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? That's only a minor issue. It's also a big imposing whale chasing after them with the speed of everything. But the problem doesn't lie that sacrifices are made and people that are important are forgotten by everybody. Just some minor characters being forgotten about, that's one thing, and people might remember this meme from years ago, but the phrase, who's Rem, is said a lot. Because she was one of the people who got absorbed because she decided to sacrifice herself for Subaru's sake, because that was a great decision. So, Otto forgot about her, the merchant boy. And when he got back to the Mather's house, everyone else forgot. Ram, Amelia, both of them just completely forgot about her. And when he thought he was going to do the right thing by telling Amelia what was going on with Return by Death, unfortunate consequences were definitely suffered again, like every other time something happens to him. And instead of the thing trying to crush his heart when he told this time, it instead killed Amelia. So yeah, that probably made him feel great. Matter of fact, it made him feel so great he sobbed into the night. and just held her until he got yeeted through a portal and ended up in the middle of the forest, which he got attacked in like 4 times so far. And again, the witch cultist showed up, and, well, Mr. Beetlejuice over there kind of caused problems himself. About to rip apart Amelia's dead body and really fuck Subaru up. Kind of like when he twisted Rum's body in the last episode. Ugh, brutal stuff. But then Subaru got some help from an unlikely source at the end of the episode. TLDR, Amelia's mother, which seems kind of like a weird statement considering we've never seen anything about that, but that goes into a whole other thing later, like within the next episode or two. But, yeah. My thoughts on this episode is shit's getting whack, and Subaru really needs to stop needing to die to save everybody else. Like, hopefully there's less of that in the second season, because, fam, that happens way too much. Anyway, I'll probably be wearing a new shirt in the next episode, so. Whoop. Alright, time for the next part of ReZero. I was about to say the wrong show. Whoops. Well, when both shows I watched I start with Re, it kind of does that to a person's brain. Anywho. So the episode starts off with him coming to terms with Puck about what happened and dying again, getting reset, and going through another mental breakdown. To which he offers Rem the chance to run away with him and go just live somewhere peaceful where they don't have to watch their friends die. And surprisingly, she said, no, I can't do that. I considered all the possibilities of that, us living a life together and banging and all that stuff, but we can't do that because you're a better man than that, Subaru. And then the thing that sprouted the meme of, but I kind of love Amelia, and it's like, yeah, I know. Doesn't stop me from feeling that way about you, and that kind of thing. And eventually, she helped him work through his whole losing his mind to come up with his own resolve of, I'm just going to erase everything in my mind and start from the beginning. And to do that, I need to find a way to take care of this whale problem. So, with a little bit of, early thinking, he gets a hold of everyone he needs to and plans out how he's going to propose Crush Sama helping him out, to which he actually succeeds after Anastasia, was that her name? I think that was her name. Anyway. After she eavesdropped for a good amount of time before walking and just like, hey-o, I'm here and ready to offer my own help as long as Subaru keeps his word. So, 3 different parts of the, royal selection joined together to form one big army for this damn whale. To which, apparently, Crush's, right-hand man has a huge backstory with the whale that I think we actually get some sort of reflection on within the next episode or two. That's the director's cut, so it might be the second half of this episode coming up. Guess we'll see. Because I'm going to try and finish it before I go to bed tonight so I can hop on season 2 soon to mix into watching the other thing I'm in the middle of watching. I can't say what that is because I don't think I have yet, nor have I finished that watch of catching up to it before it's over. So hopefully I can do both of those things soon. I gotta pace myself and finish catching up to ReZero and catching up to that. I don't know how much more ReZero has in its current season, but I'm gonna try and catch all the way up to that. But that all succeeds. They have an army, and they go to the tree to meet up with the whale, to which, at first, it doesn't make itself apparent even at the time Subaru promised, and then they notice it, the looming, hovering shadow of the white whale. And, well, they ain't no Ishmael, and that's no Moby Dick. That thing's a lot... Sorry, I wanted to make a joke, but I'm not going to bother. The thing's a lot bigger than that whale was, and... well, these aren't just a bunch of crazy fishermen with a harpoon. You know, swords, magic, demi-human, monster, beast type people. TLDR furries. And obviously I remember how this goes, but it's going to be fun to see it all over again, because I don't remember if anybody actually dies during this whole showdown, but obviously I'll get back to you with the review of the next episode, since that's all I got to say about this one, and I'm excited to finish the season. I don't also remember if you managed to kill Beetlejuice, or whatever the fuck his name is, but hopefully they do take him out as well. Anyway, that has been that episode, and I will catch y'all in the next one shortly. And right back into another one. And in this episode, we got our whole, backstory for Wilhelm, like I thought we would, cut into little pieces. Honestly, I kind of remembered it being like just a straight across thing, but maybe that wasn't the case originally, and I was misremembering for something else. Regardless, the fight with the white whale took a turn, as, sure, at first they took the advantage and injured it and removed one of its eyes, and then it got kind of pissed off, and that fog that makes people forget, about other people, it unleashed that, and, not only was there one white whale, but there was 3 of them. Seems like kind of a pain in the ass, right? So after struggling with that for a little while, and Crush and Anastasia's men kind of forgetting about... I also still don't remember if her name is actually Anastasia, so if it is, whoopsie daisy. All of their soldiers started going crazy after hearing the whale cry out, which, for the record, side note, that whale sounds a little bit like the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and that's kind of something I'm not going to forget for a little while. But back on the point of, while they were experiencing their mental traumas from the whale's cry, Felix, I guess, depending on what line of dialogue they want to sub. I'm pretty sure the name is actually Felix Argyle, but for some reason half the time it's Fellis, and I don't know why. But yeah, he's just healing the people who have gone crazy and already injured themselves. Meanwhile, Subaru concocted a plan to try and get the whale's attention, using himself as bait even more than before. And it was during that time that he realized that something was up. And it's kind of like, Shadow Clones and Naruto, where... well, not Shadow Clones and Naruto. Actually, no, I think that is an accurate representation, as well as multi-form, or whatever it was from Dragon Ball Z, when Tenshinhan and Piccolo do that kind of thing, where every different, version of themselves is weaker than the original. So with that in mind, he came up with a new plan, especially after Wilhelm got eaten by one of them, that he'd mess with the thing and use Rem to injure it even further while they let it along. So while all the soldiers were distracted with the 2 fake white whales, Subaru and Rem were busy, getting the real one in perfect position to take it out. obviously that took a little bit of effort, and Subaru basically risking his life, and after falling from about 100 stories up and being captured by Rem's ball and chain in a figurative sense. He landed face first in her titties, and she thanked him for it, and then they led the whale along, and that giant tree that they were camping under until the whale arrived, yeah, they blew that shit up. It came down and crushed the whale. But of course that wasn't enough to kill it, because why would it have been? But it was at least pinned down long enough for our swordsman, after he was rescued by Rem, to pop out and finish the thing off. So hooray, one threat out of the way. Now, the next episode is leading into, Beetlejuice, whatever the fuck his name is, and the witch's cult. Oh, and, other soldiers coming in fresh from the sidelines to join in the fight, being led by Mr. Douchebag Knight Julius, which of course Subaru's kind of pissed off about, but Subaru's also kind of a whiny bitch like that sometimes. But only a couple episodes left until the finale of Season 1, to which I can finally put all this together into one big super episode. And then I'll probably ask if you guys like it just being quick few minute reviews like I'm doing with the other show, or if it's better off for me writing it down like I did for the first few episodes of this. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. And right into another episode, the second to last episode of this season. And, whew, that's a ride, man. They defeated the whale, hip hip hoorays and all that shit. Julius and the rest of the crew arrive on the scene after blocking the trail from the witch's cult and the whale to get away. So they're off to find the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Wait, no, wrong person. They're going to find Broccoli Head, because I just realized Beetlejuice kind of looks like, his head looks like broccoli. And, they figured, hey, killing him won't be too hard. Just distract him, talk, figure out what's going on so he can't escape into his temple, so we destroy it. And then they slaughter him. Pretty simple, quick, easy, under a minute to explain how the first few minutes of the episode goes. However, it's not that easy. So, yeah, it's one of those situations where the power kind of transfers through multiple members of the cult. So, when or like a Hydra, in a sense also, when the one dies, then multiple start to gain the abilities as well. So, after Beetlejuice dies, then another one takes over the powers, and during their initial celebration, a few more of, Crush and Anastasia's men die. Well, Crush's men die. Anastasia's men are like 90% out of there by now. So, that's a bad thing, because then Subaru gets snagged and dragged through the woods and hung up against a tree to be punished by the new, head of the witch's cult. But after, a few minutes of being talked shit to, at least someone, saves his life from this one, and this one dies as well. But that begins a whole domino effect while they're trying to evacuate the people of the village, to which that turns into a hellscape, and just finger after finger turns into the leader, and all shit breaks loose, as it were. Because there's still like 50 of the fingers attacking the village after an explosion happens. So they need to keep killing them and killing them and killing them and killing them, just to make sure no new heads arose. Because every time they killed one, a new one, rose up. But eventually, after some interference from Amelia, oh, and just to mention, they're also way back in the beginning, while they were on their way to intercept the witch's cult, Ram showed up and provided a bit of a problem, and there was apparently a mole in Anastasia or Crush's people who sent a blank letter instead of the warning letter. But yeah, that's that side note that kind of plays a bit of part into things. Wonder who the mole was. Perhaps we'll find out in season 2. But back to the main part of Amelia drops in when there's only a few fingers left and defeats the current head while the others are being beat by the knights. And she shows off her ice powers quite well. To show that, hey, she's not really such a bad person, even though she's who the fingers and the witch's cult in its entirety are after. But the unfortunate part is when Subaru is about to have his loving reunion with her, something strikes him in the deepest part of his core, so he runs off unexplained near everybody about what's happening to him, because he's not even sure. Not the same kind of pain as when he admits about return by death, but a different kind of pain. And soon after Felix and Julius run after him, seems he was randomly bestowed with the gift of love, i.e. he became Beetlejuice. Oh shit, I said it 3 times. Okay. Sorry, I had to do that. Anyway. But yeah, he became the new head of the witch's cult, and during a little bit of a lapse of sanity where he could talk for himself again, he asked Julius to kill him. And after a bit of bickering, Felix paralyzed him and off with his head. So at what point is he going to get reset to this time around? Will it be immediately after the whale fight? Or will it be before even that, which will make him have to go through the whole bullshit over again? Then again, at least he could save a few extra lives during the whale fight, if that is the case. But we'll find out in the finale of Season 1 of ReZero, which I'll probably watch before I go to bed, even though it's pretty late right now, but I'll be fine. So I will see you guys for the finale in a few moments. And in comes the result for the finale of Season 1. So he resets to after the whale fight and decides that's time for replanning. So he goes through all the stuff off screen, and it ends up with Wilhelm and Ram going back to the mansion to tell Amelia about everything that's going on, including the evacuation of the townspeople. And, the knights and all that taking preparations for everything else that they had learned about, including a spy of the fingers of the witch's cult that had hidden among the villagers. The caravan, not really the villagers themselves. So, they took care of that problem, let the villagers get out, and all was well for the most part. So, in come the final fight with Beetlejuice. Or Beetlegeist, Beetlejuice. I find it easier just to say that, But, yeah, that final fight happens. Subaru leads them away from everything else going on, so the fingers can fall one by one in a quicker time than last time, to where the guy's consciousness went from blip, 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 blip to like 10 different fingers before going to Subaru. But this time, Subaru had another swordsman waiting to help him out This time it was Julius instead of Wilhelm, and Julius has some fun abilities that help out quite a bit. First of all, he can sorta kinda connect with Subaru's mind to see the unseen hand and not get his shit kicked in by it. So he was able to fight Broccoli Head one-on-one more or less easily for the most part. And, that fight is pretty epic and cool, and he gets a little bit injured, but not too bad, and thanks to Subaru throwing a stone of fire to explode a barrier he had built around himself, Julius was able to finish him off, and threatened to eradicate Broccoli Head's soul, though it still bounced into Subaru to try and take him over. But that was interrupted by Subaru having some quick thinking and being like, if the witch hurts me every time I admit about Return by Death, what'll happen if Betelgeuse is in me? So he does just that, about to announce what he does with Return by Death to Julius, and, well, instead of attacking him, the witch bitch smacks Broccoli Head right out of Subaru's body, and Julius finishes the job, killing him, what we thought to be once and for all, and shattering his very being inside and out. Well, not shattering his being out, but his soul we thought was gone. So that all goes over fine and dandy. Until they learned that there was a bunch of firestones on the same carriage of the caravan as Amelia and the kids were evacuating on. And, well, doesn't that suck? So Subaru has to figure out a way to rush over there and make sure that shit doesn't hit the fan. So he asks Otto for help on the way out, and Otto knows of a shortcut to get to them thanks to his own little special ability, like Felix and Crush have. Though, seems that Broccoli Head isn't necessarily dead, because something of him still remains, because he grows some sort of human centipede-like body to chase down Subaru and Otto's carriage. So Subaru throws everything at him, including a book, the gospel, to try and shoo him away, which, after setting him on fire, punching him in the face, and throwing the book off the carriage, only for it to pop back somehow, he sends Broccoli Head flying off to be burnt to a crisp, and then they can go save the kids and Amelia, and he hops aboard and does just that, minus a little bit of explosion damage from being too close to an explosion that can destroy a whole village. His dragon's a little hurt, but it'll be fine. And then he wakes up in Amelia's lap, and all is well and good and happy. He admits he loves her for the second time, and they have a whole discussion of, I'll wait for you, and blah, 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 blah. And then, after credits cutscene, we go into the girl of the little kids being a brat, trying to take Subaru for herself, because, kids and their heroes and all that stuff. But then Subaru gets to talking with Amelia about Rem and her admitting for her feelings for him. And then that dreaded phrase that came up a few times several episodes back. Who is Rem? And that's where they ended season 1. I actually had completely forgotten about that too. So that kind of makes me want to more binge season 2 instead of going back to the other show and watching immediately. But we'll find out how I feel about doing that later. I also don't know where Frozen Bond is. I think it's just like a prequel, so it doesn't really matter when I watch it. I'll probably ask on some Facebook page or something, but yeah. That was what happened during the finale of ReZero. Man, rewatching this just right here, man. So many feels. I feel bad for him too on a lot of levels. But if you wish to see more of these, and even if you don't, I'll probably bring them anyway, hoping that you guys approve of them eventually. Regardless, do please hit the like button and subscribe, because the margin of people subscribed to my channel versus not subscribed who are watching any of my content is way unbalanced. And I would like to change that. And, you know, it's free to hit the like bell and the subscribe button here. So if you could do any of that, it would be much appreciated. If you liked how the first half of this review was, well, at least the first quarter of it, when it was all pre-written out of my thoughts about how the episodes were going, versus how the latter portion of my review was, to where I was just talking after each episode about what had happened and my thoughts on it. You know, comment down below about which you prefer me to do, because at the moment I'm just going to run with recording after every episode instead of writing it all down during the episode. Because I'm a fast typer, but that shit takes forever to finish an episode. Also, don't forget to comment down below on any other anime that you think I should check out that had not been mentioned in my previously watched list, or that I have already done a review of so far. And like, Facebook, follow Twitter and Twitch, because I stream gaming stuff every single day, and will start on anime stuff eventually. I know I've been saying that a lot, but once I start getting more active followers, you know, I'll watch with you guys, and it's a no-brainer, right? If you don't have a Prime subscription of your own, come over to the Twitch, hit the follow button. If I get enough active viewers, well, I might start watching anime over there, unless I just get bored and decide to do it at that time. But Season 2's review will come up eventually. I'm not sure when I'll start it, and it might be when I wake up, it might be tomorrow or the next day. I don't know. We'll see. But I would appreciate it if you guys hit all those little free buttons that I had mentioned. And until next time, it has been the Blazer King with King's Critiques, signing out from Season 1 of ReZero. Ta-ta for now. Peace.